Good afternoon once more. This is a press briefing by my humble self, Dr. George Nweke, FCA, MNI, immediate past head of service of Rivers State. My dear people of Rivers State, it is with humility and every sense of responsibility and a sense of patriotism that I stand to address you today as your former head of service and someone who served from my heart. You would recall that I was appointed as head of service by our suspended governor, Governor Fubara, Grand Service of Rivers State. Let me also use this opportunity to appreciate him for giving me the opportunity to serve as head of service. With loads of misinformation on print and electronic media, I've chosen to put the records straight. I was not sacked. Neither was I pressured to resign. I did so willingly from the depth of my heart. However, as an insider and a key player in the administration, and by my position, who worked closely with the suspended governor, it would be unfair for me to keep mute or for me not to address some key factors that have affected or that will affect our state if we continue on this trajectory. And I pause to say that good men must talk so that things will be put right. I want to use this medium to thank Mr. President for a swift intervention in Rivers State crisis, especially on the declaration of the state of emergency that was declared and assented to by our National Assembly. You will recall that when the governor was suspended, as head of service, I was the next in command, so I'm not speaking as an outsider or as a novice. I'm speaking as an insider and as someone that has much information. If not for the intervention of Mr. President, Nigeria would have faced the worst economic sabotage and Rivers State would have been in flames, and by extension, other neighboring states, because of the level of insider distortion that I saw. First, it all started with the State House of Assembly, where the governor, Fubara, directed his chief of staff to burn down the assembly in a way to avert the suspected impeachment. That evening, Edison was in Government House with many of his boys, including the former chairman of Obiakpo, one Mr. Chijoke Ihunwo. I was there with them when a bag of money was handed over to Edison for that operation, though I did not actually know what it was meant for or the amount inside. I want to tell Rivers people today, the House Assembly was complex. In Moscow Road was clearly brought down by the do of Edison and some of his cohorts. Under the instruction of the sitting governor then, I challenged them to an open confrontation, and this will make us to throw more light on this. A day after that incident, I almost resigned, but I was very scared because I know the power of a sitting governor, and he knew that I'm aware of the whole plan and that I am discomforted with the unconscionable acts and deliberate posture of innocence and mien of a sheep. Another attempt was also made to destroy the residential quarters of the House Assembly members, if not for the press conference that was made there by Rivers youths, Rivers elders, and National Assembly members. That would have been another barbaric demolition in Rivers State. I came to realize that they actually wanted to demolish that second building because after some weeks, he, the governor, personally told me company of others that he knew that if he knew early, he would have gone to pull down their hall before visiting the residential quarters of the assembly, and that he didn't actually know what they had, that they had such a beautiful hall where they are using now for sitting. I was so shocked, rudely shocked. And I asked myself, how could a man that wants to lead his people be destroying his state's assets and wasting public funds in a needless ego fight? Thirdly, I want to advise some key stakeholders who have condemned the state of emergency made by the President and confirmed by the National Assembly to retract their statements. They are speaking from points of ignorance. I also understand that they are only seeing the surface. Yes. If they had knowledge, they will even be commending Mr. President even openly. If the President did not take proactive steps, no one knows who would have been affected by the sinister plans that we are cooking. While I thank Mr. President for the state of emergency that was declared in Rivers State for a period of 6 months, I will plead with him not to give up on Rivers State affairs, because a lot is going on there with Governor Fubara. One of the factors that got me removed was when Governor Fubara told me that they will use the judge to decide who will become the next president of Nigeria. And I asked him, how will that work? Is it by votes or by what means? I'm still worried. I'm still worried. He clearly told me that he is the chief security officer of Rivers State and his brother is in charge of Bayelsa State. And all the pipelines are under their care, that at the appropriate time, they will tell the boys what to do, and fund was not an issue at all. That was when he made that statement in his public function, that, and I quote, I will tell the boys what to do at the appropriate time. Deep down in me, I knew that something was up, and perhaps the time was near. He boasted to be the David that would bring down the Goliath of River State, that he has the backing of the creme de la creme in the state, the likes of our former governor, Dr. Peter Odele, and family promised to use their contacts in the judiciary, including some members of the University Council, to break new grounds for him. The plan was to start from a just-speaking areas to destroy oil facilities, to remove attention from the job and make it have a statewide look. The Goni, Oyibo, and other areas were to be bombed first before the Johnsons. This would have brought down the government of President Tinubu and usher in a new president from the coalition of political parties with a vice president, possibly himself, as he was boasting. The media was recaptured by paying heavily for airtime and retaining the social media influencers and known social critics in their payroll. I'm not aware of what this revelation means, but I'm doing this to free my conscience and warn those innocent persons that are used to sway public sentiment that there is more than meets the eyes in the Rivers matter. Sometime I sleep over in government house, it has started becoming very uncomfortable when Governor Bala Muhammad and some other stakeholders started several natural visits to Rivers State. I recall that one of such visits, he told me that he would support Bala Muhammad for president or any other northerner. That discussion is still ongoing, I'm very sure. There was no bothered about who he supports or not. I was more concerned about the quantum of state resources that were being released to these visitors at each of those unwanted visits. Let me draw the attention of Nigeria Labour Congress to call the chairman of the Rivers State chapter to order to avoid politicizing labor I am privy to several private meetings between the governor and the labor leaders in the state, and largesse that accompanied each meeting to compromise the labor union. And I was to ask, why? What is actually the benefits to get from all this unnecessary destruction? More worrisome is several meetings between the governor, his chief of staff, and some military leaders. Details of these meetings are not privy to, since I was not allowed into such meetings. However, each meeting ended with huge sums of money paid than this in hard currency. I wish to state categorically that Rivers people are indeed Nigerians, are the beneficiary of the declaration of state of emergency rule in Rivers State, and not Governor Fubara. Neither is it our former minister, Chief Nweke. Finally, I wish to call on Mr. President to urge the civil administrator to step up his guards and be very vigilant, because I am aware of the sinister arrangements and dastardly plans to continue to hurt their plans if not put in check. This accounts for the organized media condemnations and seeming public outcry against Mr. President and National Assembly. Those who love democracy, those who love Rivers State, those who love development in any ramification, and those who love humanity in general will always protect humanity and democracy. Mr. President, sir, you have just protected democracy and humanity in Rivers State. You are our hero in Rivers State. Thank you, sir. I can now sleep, having cleared my conscience. Long live Federal Republic of Nigeria. Long live Rivers State. This is personally signed by me, Dr. George Nweke, FCA, MNI, former head of service of Rivers State. Thank you, and God bless you.